Hello, welcome back to another video. I thought I'd do an updated chatty vlog about Mr. Willow today. I have done one of these in the past on the channel somewhere, but we've had a lot of new subscribers. I get a lot of questions about him and his behaviour and everything, so I thought I'd do an updated version now regarding him and where we've been, what's happened and everything. I bought Willow when he was 3 years old and I wasn't meant to keep him. Back then I had a 14-1 palomino Welsh section D called Dodger. Really good at the in-hand, but I decided to take on the ridden showing, and Dodger was not a ridden show horse. He was just scared of everything. So I knew he was being sold and I wanted a palomino Welsh section D stallion to do the ridden showing with. So we were looking for one. It's like looking for a needle in the haystack, to have the colour, the socks, the temperament, the conformation, everything. But I had found one that I was really interested in. Where have you gone? But the person that was selling it just kept ignoring my question about looking at his passport, basically. So we decided that one wasn't for us. We weren't going to go and view him. But Willow's advert kept popping up, but I sort of kept pushing it aside because of him being a gelding. So I said to Steve, sod it, we're going to see Willow and we're breaking to ride and then sell him, so we've got a bigger budget for the stallion that I actually wanted. So we went up to see him. He was a 3-year-old Welsh section D. You know, he was unbroken, not much to see. When we turned up, he was stood outside his stable and they trotted him up, trotted him down, we brushed him off. Not much to see with an unbroken horse. I was happy with his conformation, his way of going and everything. So we didn't have a lorry at that time, so they loaded him up, followed us home and brought him here. We chucked him in his stable. He did have what is now Donut stable on the end. He started off in that stable. We left him, put him in the stable and left him that evening to settle, gave him his dinner. And we did notice when we gave him his dinner that he does windsuck at dinner time. Didn't think too much of it. Stress of moving, everything. And he was extremely grumpy at dinner time. So, you know, that's fine. New place, new surroundings, everything. The horse is always going to test you when you buy a new horse. So, didn't think anything of it. So, we went home that night. I looked at his passport more in depth this time. And upon reading that, his castration paperwork was not filled in. So I light up thinking, right, have we actually bought a stallion that they didn't tell us was a stallion? That is what I wanted. So me and Steve come down here late that night to check whether he still had his bits, and he didn't, but the passport had not been filled in. So then we were a bit of a panic. Does that passport go with him? All the markings and everything, the shadings was all correct to be him. But he was a gelding with a passport still stating that he hadn't been castrated. So we booked our vet in to come down, check him over, make sure he was the right horse and make sure he'd been gelded. So a couple of days and the vet come down, and from what the vet can see and feel, he has been castrated, but he said that not the way you would expect a vet to do it. The scarring, where he's got his scarring, is not where a vet would technically make the incisions. So my vet doesn't think he was castrated by a vet. He's had to fill in the paperwork to say that no testicles are present, but there's no confirmation on who castrated him or when it happened. I've looked for his history. We can only find up to when he was born to a year-old, and then between a year-old and when I bought him as a 3-year-old, coming 4-year-old, that is missing. So as a 1-year-old, he was still a colt. So who gelded him, we don't know. Where, when, nothing. So we don't think he was castrated by a vet. But it's fine. He's filled in the paperwork. It was the right passport for him. That was fine. So the more we got to know Willow, the more we realised he is extremely protective of his stable. You cannot go in his stable with him without him threatening to bite you or kick you. He will turn around and put his bum on you. He is extremely dangerous in his stable. But as soon as you've got a head collar on him and pull him out the stable, he's fine. Grumpy, but fine. Even to this day, we've had him, as I say, he's coming 13. We've had him 9-10 years. Steve and Lewis and my old boys will not go in the stable with him. I can go in the stable with him and change his rugs and everything, but I still wouldn't do it when he's being fed. Extremely food aggressive. To the point I think he's been starved at some point in his life. But that's fine. I can work around that. I don't need to touch any horse whilst they're having their dinner. I wouldn't like someone to come and poke and prod me whilst I'm eating my dinner. So that's something I can work around. No problem with that. And then it comes to the field situation. As I say, he is extremely food aggressive, and that comes down to in the field as well. I don't know. Whatever horse we put out with him, he charges round constantly. Just trying to get them off the grass, off the piles of hay, everything. So yes, sadly he has to be turned out on his own. This has not always been the case. Back when we bought Champ as a 6-month-old foal. We managed to get Willow and Champ out in the field together. They weren't friends, they never interacted with each other, but they could be turned out in the field. But things happened, we had to split them two up, and I've never been able to put him out with anyone else. He's absolutely confident and happy on his own in the field. He's not fussed at all. But yes, so he's food aggressive. He is stable proud, as they call it. You have to be careful. Even to this day now, I'm not so worried about his back legs. I'm not worried that he'll kick you. He'll bite you. It is the mouth. And I still, to this day, have to dodge the teeth. But that's fine. You know, looking closer at him now, he has scars all over his face where a bridle would sit. So I would assume a bridle or a head collar type thing that was too small for him has been put on for a long time, and it's made sores on his face. So if you can clip him and see it better, but like here, there's a scar here where like a nose band or the head collar band sits. There's one this side as well. So somewhere along the line, I think he's had a head collar or a bridle on that was too small, that he's like outgrown and made sore. He does have a nasty scar on his offside hind, so we think he's had some injury to that in the past. You are a good boy though. So yes, I don't think he has had the best life as a youngster. So he's grumpy, he's miserable, he food aggressive in the stable. As I say, once you've got a head collar on him, he is absolutely fine. So my plan was to break him in and to sell him so we could get a bigger budget for the stallion that I actually wanted. So we bought him in the October. Come round to sort of the spring of the following year, we decided to break him to ride. At this time, we'd moved him into his current stable, because where Donut's stable is on the end, anyone that walked by that side, he'd turn around and bite. So safest option was to move him into the other stable, because back at that time, my kids were, Jamie would have been about 12, Adam would have been about 10, and Lewis would have been 5. So this is their yard, free to run around and ride their bikes and everything. So Willow had to go in a stable that's set back a little bit to make it safer for them. So springtime come around, time to break him to ride, panicking a little bit, knowing what his behaviour is like. His ground manners were shocking. Other than when he's tied up, you can brush him and you can do everything, but it's the mouth all the time. Is the mouth. So come time to break him to ride, started long reining him, lunging him, time to get on him, absolutely fine. Cannot fault the breaking process with him at all. He was, I've got to say, one of the easiest horses we've ever broke to ride, and he sort of come out of his shell then. Once he was given a job to do, he was amazing. You know, so he was broken in as a 4-year-old, and by the time he was 6 years old, we were winning county shows, Equifest, Sunshine Tours. You know, he was absolutely phenomenal. We'd done the local shows, we were then going county level and everything, because he was an extremely talented horse. When you're riding him, there is not a single ounce of bad behaviour to him at all. It is just the ground that he is funny on. So we were doing absolutely amazing. Loved him to bits. By this time, I was like, oh, I'm not selling him, is amazing. We put up with the behaviour on the ground for his talent in the ring. So then it comes round to 2018. We were out hacking one day and absolutely fine. Come home, put him in the stable. I had to get Lewis from school or something. Pick Lewis up from school, come back down, and he was crippled lame. He was literally on 3 legs, and vet straight out. And you know, we had to wait time for swelling to go down, scan his leg. He'd damaged his suspensory ligament. He's put a pinprick sized hole in his suspensory ligament. As the vets had said, nothing too major, but of course it's still an injury. He was just in extreme pain with it. So that year was right off with the suspensory. We'd healed it, turned him back out in the field. He had to go out 24/7. Doesn't like being out 24/7, so he redone his. We were nearly over the rehab, getting him back out again and everything. And he run round one day because of some noise, and he redone his suspensory. So that's twice he's technically done it. So then he was back on box rest again, doing the rehab program again, and it took us nearly a year to get back on him. So I took him to 1 or 2 shows after that, absolutely fine, brilliant, back in work, up and going, and then of course COVID hit. So we had like a year or 2 out, was it, because of COVID as well. So during this time, me and Steve were both working flat out, horses being cared for and ridden and everything daily, but there was no plan, no progression, no nothing to chase. So his schooling just went downhill, but as you never notice it, do you, with your own horses? So once everything opened back up again, I've got him out again. I've been riding him, thinking he's amazing. But now looking back at older videos, I still haven't got half the horseback that I used to have before he done his suspensory. He is very talented and he was just mega, absolutely mega. So even after these lessons now, we're not back to even half of what I used to have from him. So that sort of brings us more to the present day and the questions that I have regarding him. People always do comment on how miserable he looks. He has always been miserable. As I say, I do think he's been starved or beaten at some point in his life. And we've always sort of just ignored that. He's grumpy in the stable, grumpy tied up here, but you tack him up and he's a lot different. People say about his ears when we're riding him in the show ring, they think, you know, his ears are back. That I've always put down to like his listening ears. He's not a grumpy horse. As I say, ridden, there's not a bad bone. I've been given no reason to think that he is miserable ridden. Yes, he's funny to brush and girth up sometimes, which you do think ulcers. Back when we first got him, because he winsups at dinner time, that's a known thing with Willow. We had him tested for ulcers. He must have been 4 years old and nothing come back with anything. He was scoped, no thing, and the vets told me to put him on some supplement. He's looking at the cat. The vets told me to put him on some supplement for 90 days and it made no change. They said, you know, don't take him off of it. But this is, you're talking, God, 7-8 years ago. Ulcers weren't as well known back then as they sort of are now. Of course, science has got so much better this day and age, but there was nothing that they could see. So no more worry on that. Of course, he's always had physio, saddles, vets, you know, everything. Nothing, no money has ever been spared on his care, his health. His wonky tail has been checked by everyone that we can, and we can't find any reason for it. The grumpiness we can't find a reason for. You know, he's had every vet check under the sun, of course, because of his suspensory and everything. So we just put it down to him as a miserable, grumpy gelding. So that sort of brings us up to the present day. I know we haven't got half my horse back that we used to. There is something niggling away at me that something still isn't right. I've had his sheath cleaned. I know he can be very touchy when that gets dirty. We had another bean removed. So that's all checked. Physio's been down, checked him. She said he was tight on the right side, hence why we go round funny on the right, and the left rein he sort of cocks his head in instead of bending. So that's all being sorted. She said to take him off the haylage, put him on hay so it's not so much stodgy food in him. We need to get the weight down. That is going to be a slow process because I'm not willing to starve him because of the history where I think he has been starved in the past. So getting the weight off him is going to be slow and steady. We've upped his work. We've changed him from the haylage to the hay. He's had the physio, he's had the sheath cleaner, always seen vet. Saddle fitter is due to come out. She sadly has just lost her horse, so I'm not pushing, but he regularly sees the saddle fitter, so I cannot see that being any problem at all. Sheath cleaned, yeah, hay, haylage. His feed is being changed over. We have reduced his feed to try and get rid of this weight to help him that way. And of course I went back for riding lessons with my friend and my instructor, because I know I'm not getting the best out of him. And although that has changed and we're getting a lot better results from him now, his way of going has changed so much, I'm still not happy. He's just a little lethargic, in my opinion. We are not getting that spicy Welsh D attitude that we usually get. And someone had commented that, do I think he's lost his love for showing? I don't. I feel, the feeling I get from him when we get to a show, he loves the atmosphere, he loves everything about it. That's the feeling I get, but I'm not getting their energy, the bounce that I used to. But I know he definitely prefers that over to dressage, because dressage, it's hard work to get him around the dressage test. So I know he still does enjoy the ridden showing side of it. Of course, he's still hacking. He's always very forward with hacking. And jumping. He loves jumping, but I won't jump him too much because of his suspensory. I'm scared to jump him too much, although he enjoys it, because the vets have always been honest with me. If he'd done his suspensory again, that's the end of it, I'm afraid. So, although I will jump him on the surface, little small jumps, I will never take him round a big course of jumps or do anything really on grass unless it is perfect conditions. But yes, the ridden side of it, I'm not getting the best from him. People have always commented as well that he's overbent and that needs a weaker bit. Doing this level showing, we need to show him in a pelham or a double bridle. Willow, Welsh D's are known for having a very small mouth but fat tongue. And that's what Willow's got. So finding a bit that suits him is hard. He has a habit of getting his tongue over the bit. He's always had, since we broke him in, his go-to point is to be behind the vertical. It's definitely not where we want him. But as he gets fitter, he does it more, I think, because he's weak. Because he struggles. The fitter and stronger he gets, the more he pulls his nose out. So, yes, I don't want him overbent, but I'm not too worried about that at the moment. We're just trying to get him to come out. There is a video somewhere of me riding him in a head collar, and he still does it just in a head collar. That is his natural position he wants to be in. It's not the position we want him to be in, but people have said I need a weaker bit and ride him in the snaffle in the show ring. At this level shows, you are expected to be in a pelham or a double bridle. As weird as it sounds, you'd think if you ride in a snaffle, you are looked at as inexperienced. It's really backwards, because I think it's the other way. If you can ride your horse around the Welsh D class, where the hoist qualifiers can get extremely busy, if you can ride your horse round in the snaffle, I think you're more of an experienced rider. But judges see it as you're a novice in the snaffle. So a pelham and double bits are the way to go. He is notorious for getting his tongue over the bit. We have tried, I think, every style of bit going. Over the years, I've bought loads. Welsh D's have a very small mouth, but a big tongue. So they're hard to find a bit that suits them anyway. And he constantly gets his tongue over. You can go for weeks, months without him doing it, and you think, fine, perfect, I found a bit. And then the next thing you know, the tongue's over. He doesn't get strong or silly when he puts his tongue over. The tongue just hangs out the side, and it's an immediate fail in the show ring. You're kicked out the ring. The cost of these classes, I need to find a bit that works. So all the bits that we've tried, he's always got his tongue over. The double bridle, we tried, nothing special, I don't think. It gave me no different answers, but he got his tongue over one day, over the top of both bits, and it was an immediate no-go for me because I'm worried that he'll get his tongue stuck between the two bits and then we'll panic. So that's in the cupboard along with the other collection of bits. The bit he wears now is a straight bar bit, which is known as a weaker bit, no pressure points, but it has got a port, a tongue layer they call it, in it, so he can't get his tongue over this bit. And this is the only one that I found that he cannot get his tongue over. It does have the long shanks. Someone has said about I need shorter shanks. I can't find this mouthpiece exactly with shorter shanks. So at the moment we're working with what we've got. Someone did say about the bit expert, which I will look into. They're sort of newer things. This was never something back in the day, bit experts. But again, my issue with that is only because he can go for ages without doing anything and then suddenly gets his tongue over. So I'm going to have to see what their trial process is like, because I don't want to be paying hundreds of pounds for bits that I'm changing every couple of months. We need to trial them. Basically, I've spent hundreds on bits. Then people are saying take the curb chain off. When you're showing at this level, you must have a curb chain on the pelham bit, you must have a lip strap. His curb chain is on the loosest thing that we can put it on, so technically the curb doesn't come into play, it's too loose. And then someone did say about having the rubber curb chain. The one we've got, the curb chain we now use is a normal metal ring curb chain. We used to use a leather curb chain, but I don't know whether it was last year or the year before, something went on in the show ring and people were putting metal pieces in this leather curb chain. So it got to the point that if you were wearing that curb chain in the ring, the judges would make you remove it and show whether there was metal in it or not, hurting the horse. So I thought straight away, let's just get rid of that one and put him in the metal ring one, because it's no difference to him really. So yeah, we do have a leather one, but there was a point of time where it was, you didn't want to be seen with one of those in the show ring. So I could now, I've never seen no one pulled up about them now, so we could put the leather one back on. But yes, the bit is the softest bit that we can get for him for the level that he's doing. Yes, as soon as I find one with this mouthpiece with the shorter shanks, so I know the mouthpiece works with the shorter shanks, then I will do, and I can change him to that leather curb chain. There isn't anything about that. But yeah, so that's the bit. You know, I think he still likes the ridden showing. He lays on the horse box perfectly fine. He's an anxious traveller, we do know that, and we're sorting that out with the feed at the show. He's gone a lot better since feeding that. He's not as tired now. So yeah, that brings us on to now, present day sort of thing. So yeah, later this week he is having some investigations from the vet, just because I know we can get so much more out of him, and I want to rule out everything before I really go hard on the schooling and push him hard. I want to make sure we have covered every single avenue. So Friday the vet's coming to scope him again for ulcers. Knowing his history on like his suspensory and stuff in the past, he's very sensitive to pain. What the vets don't think should hurt him hurts him. So My plan, because I don't like the scoping, it's not the scoping I don't like starving him for him to be scoped. That's the bit I really don't want to do, because as I say, I think he's been starved at some point in his life, and I never want him to think I'm starving him and he's going back to, like, you know, back in time. So I asked the vets if they would just treat him for ulcers without scoping him. They did say they could, but the paste works for one set of ulcers, the injections work for another. So ideally we do need to find, if he has ulcers, which ones he have for the best method of treatment. Otherwise, she said, I could give him the paste and he's no better off and I'm money down the drain. So I have opted for him to be scoped on Friday. Hopefully we'll have answers then on whether he does have ulcers or not. If he does not, we are ready for blood tests. I don't know exactly what. She did say a few things that they will be testing on the blood test for him. I know one is that PSSM. He'll be tested for that. That's the only one that I can remember. I can't remember the other names that she said. But, yeah. We're going for further investigations just to rule everything out. Because I don't know how to explain it. Because he walks, trots, canters, does the show, does everything I ask when I ask. If you didn't know him, you'd think he was fine, because he's still giving you everything you ask for. I've known him nearly 10 years. This is not the full Willow we know, and I need to find out whether it is something's wrong with him or whether he's just not fit and strong, which at this time, we're now nearly May. Yeah, end of April it is. I've had like riding lessons more recently, but I've been bringing him all winter up till now, getting him ready for these Royal International qualifiers, knowing that he can give us such good work. He should be fitter and stronger now. So I want to know, make sure we're in the all clear, that there is nothing wrong with him before we go really harder on the schooling to get the best from him. So yeah, it is currently Wednesday. Vets are out to him first thing Friday morning to test him and see where we go from here. I don't know. I want answers now, so if he's got ulcers, at least then we know a definite answer. We've got answers. It's the not knowing, it is the unknown that, you know, is scary. He's my best friend and I only want the best for him. I owe him everything. Okay? My baby boy. Whatever happens, I think he'll always be miserable and you'll have to watch his mouth, but I'm fine with that. Hey? Yes. Oh, smile. You're a silly sausage, aren't you? I don't know. I just get him so much, and yeah, I just want the best by him. But yeah, I will probably vlog some of Friday. So we've got answers, you know, reactions straight away, and I can remember then what the vet says. So this is to be continued on what is happening. Yeah, we will get to the bottom of him. I will make sure of that, because knowing possibly his history, you know, I don't think he's had the best life to begin with, but I will always make sure the rest of his life is his best. I will always do what is right by him, and I have always vowed that I will be the one to put him down. He will never be sold to, because of his behaviour, because of him not turning out in a field with others, because of him being, you know, you could put on the verge of dangerous in a stable and food aggressive. I will never sell him to someone that will not put up with that behaviour. I mean, it's not behaviour we want. I don't want to put up with it, but I will never sell him to someone that would potentially tell him off and beat him because of what he does. So I have always vowed that if something happened to me, my kids know he is not to be sold. They either care for him the way I have, the way I do, or they put him down. His last days will be with me. He will never be sold. Never will I put him through potentially going to someone else that doesn't understand him. I don't understand him. As I say, we're doing further investigations. Something's not right, and you know, but I'm trying my best for him, and he's always given me his best. You know, we've got some bond. I can go in his stable, change his rug and everything now. I'm not a threat to him. Yes, if you startle him, you have to watch his mouth. And I never go in there when he's eating his dinner. I just leave him be. But I understand him more than other people would. So yeah, we're gonna have more answers on Friday, and we'll follow this up in another vlog with the answers. But yeah, if you like what you see and want to follow along with our journey, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.